You ever seen someone treat a janitor like she was invisible? Like just part of the background noise, I mean? Really, think about it like her mop and gloves were more important than her name. Yeah, that happened. And what came next? Man, nobody saw it coming. It was a Tuesday morning, one of those two perfect school days, where the sun hits the linoleum just right, making the hallway floors shine like polished glass. At Westford Prep, a school stuffed with smartboards, legacy kids, and Ivy League dreams, folks liked their order tidy, their coffee stronger than their empathy, and their assumptions unchallenged. Then there was her, Mavis Green, 60-something, black, quiet, silver curls always tied back, wearing the same faded blue work shirt every day. She'd been the janitor there longer than most of the teachers had even held a license. Didn't say much, didn't expect much, just showed up at dawn, swept every hallway, cleaned every smudge, and disappeared before anyone noticed. Except that day, someone did notice. See, Mr. Tyler Hughes, the hotshot calculus teacher in room 2B man had more pride than wisdom, if you ask me. He was tall, sharp-jawed, always dressed like he was auditioning for a tech startup smart. Sure, but smug as hell. The kind who talked like his words deserved applause. He had a rep for being tough, especially on kids he didn't like. But that morning, his sights weren't on any student. No, he picked someone who didn't even have a desk. Mavis was cleaning the back of the classroom, quiet as always, wiping down the floor near the board while the class buzzed about a particularly nasty calculus problem he'd just thrown on the board. The thing looked like someone dumped Greek letters in a blender. Nobody had cracked it yet, not even Benjamin Chow, the mathlete golden boy. And that's when Hughes looked down at Mavis and said it, loud enough to echo. Well, Miss Green, since you've probably heard me ramble on all year, why don't you come up and give it a shot? The class went still, then erupted in laughter, sharp, cold, cruel. You could feel it in your teeth. Mavis froze, her hand still gripping a dirty paper towel. Her back was turned, but I swear I saw her shoulders stiffen like a punch had landed right between her ribs. She turned slowly, eyes calm, mouth tight. No defense, no argument. Just that same, quiet patience. Like she'd been through worse, and she had. But nobody knew that yet. Hughes chuckled, arms crossed, like he'd just won some private game. Come on now, he pressed. Don't be shy. Maybe you're the hidden genius we've all been waiting for. And maybe, just maybe, he really believed she'd humiliate herself. But Mavis didn't blink. She put down the towel, walked past 30 students who wouldn't meet her eyes, took the chalk from the ledge like it belonged in her hand, and then she started writing. Slow, precise, no hesitation. At first, folks were confused. Maybe she was doodling or copying random symbols. But then, someone leaned in, and someone else stopped whispering. And by the time she hit the second line, the whole class had gone dead silent. You could hear the chalk tapping like a heartbeat. You could see Hughes shift in place, arms still crossed. But his jaw clenched now. Mavis kept writing, her hand steady, her eyes never leaving the board. It was like watching a ghost remember who they were. See, what nobody knew, not Hughes, not the students, not even the principal, was that Mavis Green used to be a math prodigy. Back in the late 70s. She'd gotten into Northwestern on scholarship, one of the first black women in the advanced mathematics program. She'd been brilliant, fearless, and poor. And the walls they built around her back then, they weren't made of brick, but of silence, of sideways glances, of professors who ignored her hand, of classmates who changed seats. She dropped out junior year. Life got hard, family fell ill, dreams got shelved. Not because she wasn't capable, but because no one believed she was supposed to be there. So she cleaned instead, for decades, quietly, until today. Back in that classroom, Mavis reached the end of the equation, one last symbol, crisp and clean. She stepped back, turned around, looked at Hughes straight in the eye. Check it, she said, calm as a lake. Hughes didn't move. Benjamin Chow, sitting 2 rows back, slowly raised his hand and said, that's actually right, all of it, every step. No one spoke. Some kids looked at their desks. A few turned red. One girl whispered, "Holy shit." Mavis nodded once, picked up her towel, and walked out. That should have been the end of it, but nah, that was just Act 1. The story spread like wildfire. By lunch, half the school was whispering about the janitor who solved the impossible problem. By last bell, Principal Karen Miles had called Mavis to her office, not to scold her, but to listen. And Hugh's man had the ego knocked clean out of him. That evening, he walked into the custodial closet where Mavis was restocking soap. "Miss Green," he said, voice low, I owe you a real apology." She looked at him, not angry, not smug, just tired. "You owe that apology to every girl you've ever assumed wouldn't understand you," she replied, then turned back to her work. And he stood there like a kid caught cheating. But something changed in him that day. I mean it. Over the next few weeks, he invited more students to ask questions, stopped brushing off the quiet ones, even co-organized a math workshop highlighting underrepresented voices in STEM. Now here's the twist, because every good story's got one. A sophomore named Tyla Reed, who'd always sat in the back row doodling in her notebook, she walked up to Mavis in the hallway a week later, said, "You used to study math, right?" Mavis smiled. "Still do." Tyla pulled out her sketchbook. Inside, complex patterns, fractals, geometry laced with emotion. "I think I see numbers like shapes," she whispered, "but nobody takes me seriously." Mavis looked her dead in the eye. They will now. The two of them started meeting after hours, cleaning tools in one corner, math notes in the other. That tiny janitor's closet became a second classroom, and slowly, more kids joined, drawn by the rumor of a woman who'd cracked the toughest problem without a single degree on her wall. By semester's end, the principal invited Mavis to speak at the school assembly on diversity and education. She stood on that stage, looking out over a sea of students who'd once ignored her shadow. She didn't speak like a scholar. She didn't quote big names or drop statistics. She just told the truth. "For 30 years, I have cleaned your mess," she began. "But today, I'm here to help clean something else, your perception." And damn, you could have heard a pin drop. She told them about lost dreams, silent racism, invisible brilliance, about how dignity isn't tied to a paycheck or a title, and about how sometimes the person you least expect is the one carrying the answer. When she finished, nobody clapped right away. Not because they didn't want to, but because they were still holding their breath. Then the room erupted, not in polite applause, but in something closer to gratitude. That day didn't fix the world, but it cracked something open. Now students say hi to Mavis in the halls. They offer to carry her cart. Some even sit with her at lunch, not out of pity but out of respect. As for Mr. Hughes, word is he's become the loudest voice in staff meetings pushing for inclusive curriculum changes. Folks say he even cried once after Mavis helped him organize a school-wide math fair themed around unseen geniuses. But the best part, Mavis never changed. Still shows up at 5 a.m., still mops every floor. Still hums old Motown songs while scrubbing the windows. Only difference now, people see her. Really see her. And maybe that's the whole point. Because sometimes, it takes just one bold moment, one act of quiet defiance to turn a room full of ignorance into a room full of possibility. So next time you see someone doing the kind of job most folks walk past without thinking, stop and wonder, what brilliance are we ignoring today just because it's wearing a name tag? Let me ask you, is Hughes evil or just ignorant? Should Mavis have said something sooner, or was her silence its own kind of power? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it: respect, justice, second chances, and why sometimes the janitor's chalk is sharper than the teacher's pride.